here we are, Sunny SNA. This is 243, and we're doing a line service check. I like to start from the nose, go back, and then we're gonna come back around. What I like to check is aircraft for integrity and loose or missing parts. So I especially check screws. Sometimes they'll be loose, and if they're missing, then we got to write that up and go about replacing them. So I'll start from the front. I'll look at the aircraft. I look at the pitot ports and the outside air temperatures. Make sure they're not busted, burnt, missing. And then I'll go in here, that nose landing gear, and I'll make sure, for safety reasons, the gear pin's there, right? And the chocks are in place on the tires. I'll look inside of the nose landing gear and make sure all these panels are closed. Sometimes the fasteners will be popped out, and if they are, I'll just tighten them back on. So doing an actual check here, make sure the connectors in the nose landing gear are secured properly and tight and on. I shouldn't see any red stripes. And none of the hydraulic lines or anything like that are damaged or leaking. Chafing of any kind shouldn't be present while I'm doing this check. And importantly, this door here for the avionics portion should not be open in any way, and it's locked in place and secured, so we're good. The lights, the glass portion of the lights aren't busted or cracked or anything like that, and they're secured. I don't see any loose hardware, which is good. Yeah, everything looks good. The tires have a good amount of wear. You should not see any cord. If you see any cord, that's automatic replacement. The tires, the thread depth that you should check is up to 132nds, but this is way beyond that. These are practically new tires. We're good on that. And then open this hydraulic compartment door. And now you shouldn't see any kind of fluids in there. This drain port right here should be open, and in this case it is. I'm checking the connectors, that they're secured and on properly, they're not loose. Should be able to see the bayonets, and I do. This should be roughly around 1500 psi when it's not charged, up to 3000 when it is, when the aircraft's on. And yeah, I'm not seeing anything, any irregularities in here. Bonding strap's good. And yeah, close the door. Nose hydraulic compartment is good. We checked this earlier. The hydraulic, or the oxygen is at a good level now. I'm looking at the antennas currently. I shouldn't see any damage on the antennas, and they should all be there. And in this case, we're good. Also, this door, the service door, I'm looking at rivets. There shouldn't be any smoking rivets, right? Just general things that we're checking here. All the screws are in place for this panel. So I keep mentioning screws, and particularly because this lateral panel on the wing, these screws a lot of times will go loose, and we'll just tighten them, but you definitely got to catch it. Sometimes you'll see them popped out a little bit, and you definitely want to screw that back in. You don't want to keep them loose. You don't want the pilots to see it first. So also with the rest of these screws as well, they just get loose over time. As it flies, you know, you'll have all the vibrations from the flight. And the screws at the bottom here, they're all secured. And then we'll walk around the wing here and check for the same things. All these ESD wicks should be in place on this wing. There's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all there and secured. If they were loose, you'd see it. It'd be unscrewed. All right, and then I check these lateral panels from the front and also the aft, because sometimes you can't see it, depending on, you know, how tall you are, I guess. You can't see over, and even I can't. So yeah, all the screws are secure and on tight. All right, now that we're here at the main landing gear on the right side, we're gonna check. We got some flights out here today. I'll wait for that to pass so you can hear me right. So this tire is a little bit worn, but it's not down to that 1/32 point. And also, I don't see any cord here looking around the tire, right? So it looks good. There's no damage in the sidewall. And we checked the brakes or the tire pressures earlier, and they were good, actually really good. And now the brake indicators, which are, give me one moment, which are these indicators right here, and this one right here. And there's also indicators on the lower side too that you can check, which is, if you can see in the video, right here and right here. And they're very extended, way beyond the limit of what it could be down to. So if you look at this portion of the indicator and this portion, so if the top of this indicator meets flush with this part, you need to change out the brakes. It says in the book up to a 1/64th of, like it should be out 1/64th of, like, away from this portion of the indicator. Pretty much if it's not flush and you can put your nail in it, you know, it's still good, but even then I would just probably replace it. And that's a separate snag, of course. So now we're in here inside the main landing gear. Always make sure that the gear pin is in, right, and the chocks are on for safety before you go inside. Now I'm checking for leaks or any kind of irregularities, no kind of damage. I'll make sure this is extended a little more than a card's length, like you put your ID on it. Make sure all the connectors are tight and they don't have any missing panels or missing screws while you're in here. Looks like everything is good and tight. Well, shouldn't be any FOD in this compartment. All right, and we're good on this side. And we did a check of the hydraulic fluid earlier, so we're good on that. And the differential pressure indicators aren't popped out. All right, and then none of the screws are loose here. These planes are a little older, so I mean, this shouldn't be a thing, but there shouldn't be any gapping if you look at the, like where it's riveted, the portions of the skin, right? So in this case, you'll see like cracks here, but there's no gapping, actual gapping. And you don't want to not catch that, right? Make sure that the cowlings, engine cowlings, aren't popped out. These lashes, make sure they're in place fully. Sometimes over time they might get a little loose, a little popped out, and you just want to push it back in. All right, I get in front of the engines too, and make sure none of the blades are severely nicked in any way, or any other kind of damage that you could possibly find. You got the acoustic lining too. I've seen that before at a different place where it got sucked in. A place, yeah. Make sure that the panel for the engine oils is on and secure. And then, yeah, just keep looking around. We have another 4 ESD wicks on the right elevator and another 4 on the left, and an ESD wick right above the tail light. And then another 2 ESD wicks on the rudder, and they're all there. And all the paneling, make sure there's no missing screws. or any other kind of damage of any kind that you could possibly find. Let's see. I always check the aft end of the engine in the turbine section. Make sure there's not, like, who knows, a bird nest in there or something, or any other kind of damage that you can think of. Static ports here, they aren't clogged up. There's also static ports on the front. I always check as well. Baggage door is shut, and we don't have, like, let's say when you pull this, it shouldn't be tight and it shouldn't open when you pull that latch. So it's properly secured. Vent panel is shut. Let's see. Again, I'm gonna look around and check to make sure all the screws are on properly. None of them are loose. You gotta emphasize on these panels, they get loose all the time. And then we'll check the tread on these tires, which they're very good. We checked the tire pressures earlier. We'll check the brake wear indicators, and they're fine, bottom and the top. Yeah, usually you can just check the top. You don't really have to check the bottom because it'll be the same typically. And we have a safety, or the landing gear pin here installed. Chocks are in place, and I can walk in again. Make sure everything is good. Yeah. We're all good. All right, we're gonna keep walking around. Checking every little minute thing. You never know what you could find. I want to keep everyone safe. If I wouldn't put my family on this plane, you know, then I need to make sure that we correct whatever issues that we have. And you could find that on a line service check, you never know. So we got to be meticulous at all times. Double checking, triple checking everything. All right, static ports are not obstructed. Cool. All right, and then now we'll go to the battery compartment. And double check to make sure these batteries are secure. I've definitely caught this pop down when I just simply opened the battery compartment, and hand tightening wouldn't work, so I just grabbed a can of plug pliers and tightened it down, and that seemed to fix it. Make sure that all the connectors, I go in line like this, so I'll just do both of these, you know, and then work my way up and look in here, make sure none of the circuit breakers are popped. And they're not. And always the fly check while I'm in here, of course. The bonding wire is good and in place. I'll get to close up. And also, while you're down here, make sure that the extension for the nose landing gear, you'll collect, you know, like, you'll do line service checks over time, and you'll kind of figure out where it's supposed to be and where it's not supposed to be. So just make sure it's not too low. And yeah, the front nose landing gear strut. And yeah, just keep looking around. Take your time when you're doing this. Here we are at the right engine of 243. We're gonna check engine oils today. You're gonna need a flashlight. I got this, the tech right here. I got a UV light, which helps out to look for engine oil leaks and the engine oil altogether. As long as as well as it's a light for, like, just like a normal light too. So pop open the engine here, and then it's really sunny here today. Kind of warm. So I always double check just to make sure that this cap is on properly. So I'll give it a little bit of a push test, and it's secured. While I'm in here, the engine oils are supposed to be checked. and it's supposed to be up to the 2 line. Try not to go past the 2 line, because if you do, it will spill out, and let's not waste perfectly good oil. And so while I'm in here, I also do a FOD check, right? So I'll poke my head in here, look around, make sure there's nothing in here, as well as any kind of irregularities that, like, maybe something can be damaged, torn, busted. You never know what you could find. And we're all good. And that's how you check engine oils. We're gonna go to the APU next. All right, we're gonna do APU oil next. Here we are on the APU, on the rear side of 243. We'll pop open the panel. And so there's this cap right here for the APU. I make sure that it's secured. You know, it's not popped open. Everything's good. That's a bad day waiting to happen. And we got our APU oil level. It's all the way at the full mark. And then while I'm in here, I check for FOD, of course, and any other kind of irregularities I could possibly find, like loose connectors. You never know what we could find. And we're all good. That's how we check for APU oil. Here we are on the rear side of 243. We're gonna check hydraulic levels. Also, I always like to check the differential pressure indicators. Make sure they're not popped out, and they're not. Also for loose connections, FOD, any other kind of irregularities I could possibly find. Leaks, of course. If you do find leaks, usually they'll be on the ground. So always look around for any spots on the ground. Right now we have a bunch of dry spots, but if there is a current leak, you know, it'll be wet. So look out for that for sure. At the bottom of this panel, where the hydraulic reservoir sits, we have a fluid quantity gauge for the hydraulic fluid, and right now it's in the correct levels. So sometimes it might be a little off, and what you want to do is relieve the pressure, especially if the aircraft comes in. You got to do the check. And right now it's been sitting overnight, so we don't have to do that, but I'll show you that in the next video. We're in the flight deck of 243. We're going to check hydraulic levels from the MFD, because that's how it asks you to check hydraulic levels in the line service check when you're sending it off in Traxall. So here you can use either MFD. What you're going to do is press the systems button, and then hit the hydraulic button. And then what it asks you in the line service check is to make sure that within the green bars, it's at least halfway. So in this case, it's completely full on both sides. Now, if let's say it is halfway or less, what it asks you to do, just to get an accurate reading, because a lot of times when the plane comes back, you have all the hydraulic fluid in all the systems and it's pressurized. So to relieve pressure, what you would need to do is you'll first put both your legs, if you want to show down there, on the pedals. On the top of the pedals, you press the brakes, and I'll show it over here on my side. You'll press both brakes on both of the sides, right? The best thing to do first is adjust your seat. And I go all the way forward because it's just easier. And you'll press both the brakes, right? And you'll start pulling the emergency brake. Why you want to press both the brakes is so you don't want both the systems to unbalance each other. And then you take and you look at the reading on MFD. And if it's past halfway on both sides, then you're good. And at the very minimum, to sign off the snag, to sign off the line service check. And that's how you check hydraulic levels from the MFD. All right, we're gonna check oxygen levels next from the MFD. And to do that, you press the system button, and then you'll hit the ECS AI button. And then the oxygen level is at 1570 currently. It is just below the minimum of what the line service check requires you to leave it at. In there it says 1600 psi is the minimum where you can sign it off. And if it goes underneath 1600, then we have to service it to 1850. So in this case, we'll be servicing it today. And that's how you check oxygen levels, crew oxygen levels from the MFD.